This is Kelso Sturgeon. Thank you. Another session of Handicapping 101. Just a couple of announcements before we get into the handicapping session of this program, focusing a bit on quarterbacks in the NFL and in the colleges, and then somewhat on college football. My Shocktober football program continues tonight with the undefeated Nebraska Cornhuskers at the undefeated Kansas State Wildcats. Game might be tougher than some people think. Maybe, I don't know. Nebraska is certainly is a knockout football team. Kansas State is in the rebuilding mode, struggling, but both are undefeated. Anything can happen in Manhattan. You can get that game tonight for just $25, or part of the Shocktober football program. Now, the Shocktober football program lasts 5 weeks. 44 top-rated plays, including my 200-unit college football game of the year and my 200-unit NFL game of the year. 44 plays, 1,250 winning units. You can sign up for it on the site or toll-free at 1-800-755-2255 for just $179 charged to your major credit card. Now let's talk about quarterbacks for just a second. There's four in particular I want to mention because we're pretty definite about them. Jay Cutler will start again for the Chicago Bears against Carolina, even though the beating he took last week. Jake Delhomme may start for Cleveland. You need to make that a last-minute check and find out if he goes. If he goes, it's a big edge for Cleveland. Matthew Stafford will still be out for Detroit, although someone said there's a slight chance he would play. My suggestion is make sure you check on the Detroit Lions and Stafford before you make your play. Michael Vick definitely out for Philadelphia against San Francisco, and possibly even next week. Now, you know, in college quarterbacks, I want to just speak in general terms here, but it makes a point. You know, I have always said, and have written many times, that for a football team to be successful at the highest level, I'm talking about an Alabama meeting an Auburn, I'm not talking about an Alabama meeting a Bowling Green, but when two top teams playing at the highest level of college football, if you don't have a prime-time blue-chip quarterback, you're dead in the water. And that explains, truthfully, why Penn State, BYU, and Texas are going nowhere this season. You know, Penn State is 3-2 straight up, 1-4 against the number, and they're going to get beat by every good team they play because they do not have a quarterback, and they have an offense that depends on the quarterback to get it done. So Penn State is finished. Put a fork in them. BYU, who could believe that BYU is off to a 1-4 start? This is quarterback U, but once again, through injury and attrition, they're down to a true freshman starting at quarterback. Oh, by the way, which, as is Penn State, they're going nowhere. They're terrible. 1-4 straight up, 1-4 against the number. May win 3 games this season. Texas, 3-2 straight up, 1-4 against the number. Very, very weak at quarterback, and probably is going to lose against every good team they play. In fact, I would be so bold as to say Texas may have a losing record this season because of the absence of a primetime blue-chip quarterback. Now let's get into this past weekend of college football, because I think some definitive things happened. Emerging from last week's play was the fact, in my mind, that there are only 2 absolutely kick-butt, prime-time, blowout football teams in the country: Alabama and Oregon. You know, Alabama made a farce of Florida, beating the Gators 31-6. I mean, it was a joke. Florida has an outstanding football team. They might well have not shown up. Now let's get to Oregon. Oregon just blows everybody away. And, you know, they start slow sometimes. They've been down in a couple of games, as they were last week, I think down 21-3 to Stanford. Came back and won 52-31. These 2 teams are absolutely unstoppable on offense. And because of that, I think that there's a good chance that they'll play for the national championship. 2 absolutely standout football teams. You say, what about Ohio State? Ohio State may get there too, but they're going to have to get lucky to get there. Ohio State, as good as it might be, is not in the league of Alabama and Oregon. Alabama and Oregon stand out over absolutely all of them. Now, last but not least, the most underrated team in college football right now is San Diego State. They're a modest 3.5-point favorite at BYU this week. I'm not saying to lay the points or take them. I'm just waking you up to the fact that the most underrated college football team in the country is playing a football team that's going nowhere, and the price is right. Thank you very much for watching. I'll be back here tomorrow for a weekend report on college football and the NFL.